I'm excited to have it.
How are you? Good, Joanne. How about you?
Good. I said I'm waiting for the snow to stop, but I don't know when.
You know, though, it hasn't been that bad this winter.
I know, that's what I said. I've been fortunate, but every time I wake up and see it, it's like, oh, going back, we're slipping backwards.
Well, you know, sometimes April's not even that good, so.
I know.
You don't know. It's kind of
So
strange.
you don't know what March is gonna bring at
No.
all. Except they said, I think, Tuesday we could get 60, and I'm like,
I know, but you
no
know,
wonder
that's.
everybody's sick.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Well, road engineers will tell you that that's what's hard on the roads,
Yeah.
not a big snowstorm.
Oh, it's the hot, I mean, the cold and the hot.
Difference in
yeah.
the temperature.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shannon's on a cruise this week and she sent pictures and it looked so beautiful. I said, please bring back a nice, something warm with it.
Caribbean?
I want to say maybe,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of most popular.
Yeah.
Especially this
And
time
it
of year.
was 75 where they were and going, getting warmer.
She is coming back, right?
Yeah, she's supposed to come back, yeah, we'll see.
Joanne, let's reconvene.
All right. The first item on my list is a license agreement for the Manaway Police Department. And again, they want to be able to use our,
The task force building there.
the training facility on Coit Road.
Joanne, I just had a quick question. I know we've done a couple of these, but there's no date in the resolution. It's in the contract, I'm
Right, well,
assuming.
and they kind of set it up with the sheriff's office schedule-wise. It's for like the whole year, but then they pick their certain dates when other people aren't there, so it's open-ended that way, but it's for the full year.
For the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to enter into a license agreement with the Manaway Police Department.
Okay, I will second. Roll call, Amy.
Vicki?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is with the Portage Development Board, and I'll give you a little bit of background with this. Back in 2011 to 2013, the Commissioner's Office support was $200,000 a year for those years. And then it dropped down to $50,000 a year after that. It has been that way ever since. When the contract was originally written, they were also provided their rent-free and their utilities where they're at. That was like an in-kind, and that still stays today as well. So we've, this is now the sixth amendment to the contract at the $50,000 out of the general fund for this.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to enter into an amendment number 6 with the Portage Development Board.
I'll second. Roll call, Amy.
Vicki?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
And then number 3 is we're rescinding an original resolution that was done in October to send vehicles to the auction lot. And that was because some of them had to be towed, and when I was out sick, it didn't get coordinated enough to do. So the prosecutor said rescind the old and make a new. So now we're gonna send them to the auction yard in March.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to rescind resolution number 19-0789 dated October 31, 2019, and declare obsolete and authorize sale of equipment by public auction.
Okay, I will second. Roll call, Amy.
Vicki?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Number 4 is a license agreement. This time the Springfield Township Police Department, we're far reaching now, wants to come and use our facility.
Good.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to enter into a license agreement with the Springfield Township Police Department.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
And likewise, the last one is Northfield Village.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to enter into a license agreement with the Northfield Village Police Department.
I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
It's good they're getting a lot of use out of there.
Bringing some income in for themselves, yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
this is one of the first years that we've had so many, so quickly in the
Yeah.
year, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
Yes. All right, thanks so much, Joanne.
Yep, you're welcome. See you soon.
Hey, how do you doing?
Excellent.
You're up.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The bill run.
Let's see. It's good to see our then and now is reduced greatly.
Yes. The bill payment, again, nothing out of the ordinary there. In fact, only the $2.97 late fees. That was one for $2.95 and one for 2 cents. So that's good. The journal vouchers are just normal, routine business, moving of the funds. And then, but then and now that figure is wrong. I apologize for that. It's 300 and something.
I thought that was,
I was thinking, wow, that is
That's a
greatly
nice typo I didn't
reduced.
catch.
Oh, Todd, you rain cloud.
Yeah, it was reduced from last time.
Oh,
It's
man.
still somewhat.
I think it was like 500 or something.
Yeah, I apologize. Oh, I typed the page total. It's 395,000,
even or?
$374.03. I apologize, that was the one-page total.
Okay.
All right, I'll take back my comment.
Yeah, well, last week it was 600,000, so it is down.
Okay.
Just not, so I do owe you a letter on that, I am working on writing it. I wanna write it in a way that doesn't panic the departments that are doing,
Yeah.
so we're working on that. So that's the bill runs.
Okay. Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to approve the Thursday, February 27th, 2020 bills, ACH payments as presented by the County Auditor and reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, Department of Budget and Financial Management, Department of Internal Services, or other designee.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes. Can I just stop for a second on this second one? Do we need a resolution for the health benefit wire transfer?
No, there was none present.
So we can remove
So we
number
don't need this?
2.
No, you can keep the wire. And what, well,
Are you gonna have?
don't pass it
anything?
right now, and I'll call down and make sure it just isn't late.
Okay.
That it wasn't included for some reason.
Okay.
But we can skip it for now, and then if we do need to pass it, I'll come back in.
Well, we
Okay.
don't always have that one, right?
Right, yeah, it's usually every other week.
Okay. I know we had it last week.
Yeah.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agrees to approve the Thursday, February 27th, 2020 journal vouchers as presented by the County Auditor and reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, Department of Budget and Financial Management, Department of Internal Services, or other designee.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to approve the Thursday, February 27th, 2020, then and now certification as presented by the County Auditor and reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, Department of Budget and Financial Management, Department of Internal Services, or other designee.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
And the last one is just the transfer. This includes the match for the grant plus the additional. Basically, this grant is one employee in the prosecutor's office, and the grant doesn't quite cover all of the salary. I think the grant is around 50,000. So then this transfer does the match plus the additional that's needed to cover the entire salary. And we do it every year.
Okay.
Move that the Board of Commissioners agree to transfer $49,705 from Fund 0001 General Fund to Fund 1480 VAWA.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
I think
Let's
that's
find
it.
out about that one, and we'll go from there. Thanks, Todd.
Did you have any comments or anything? I know we gave you a copy yesterday for the Board of Elections chargeback fund, because the prosecutor said that we were okay
I called Chris on that this morning because I was, if that was still good, I didn't know why we were doing another resolution. but
Yeah.
Well, that's my question. We have no other fund that took 2 resolutions to do it. My preference would still be to amend the original if it's simply lacking something. One of the issues you're gonna have 10 years from now is which of these resolutions governs the use of the fund. The one you have before you puts no restrictions other than what the ORC has in it. The other resolutions does put restrictions. You're just creating confusion where, in my mind, confusion doesn't need created. If all that's missing is the number, then we should amend the original.
You know, Todd, why don't you call Chris? Because
Yeah.
that was my question to him, and he insisted that this was the right way to do it. So, but
Yeah.
what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah.
To amend it.
I can follow up with
Because like you
him.
said, if you look at this, it doesn't spell out.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the controlling document for the fund.
Yeah.
ORC does give you the ability to modify the uses, and so the question is, did you modify the uses? And again, it's the less confusion 10 years, 20 years from now, because this fund is gonna be in place forever. The less confusion, the better off.
Yeah, okay. Call Chris, and hopefully we'll get this done today, so.
Yeah.
There isn't, the settlements come in February 25th, which I guess was Tuesday, and it takes a month to reconcile them, so there isn't a rush per se, but we'll try to
Okay,
get them today.
okay.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
You know, Kelly, this makes me tired just looking at this. I mean,
As
there's hours
Commissioner
and
Clyde
hours.
wanted to see 2019.
You know,
You look like
I mean-
Lincoln.
My fault.
Wow. You are a busy, busy lady.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Okay.
So in my last meeting, Commissioner Clyde had asked if, I presented the 2020 goals to you all, and then
Yeah.
Commissioner Clyde asked if we could see the completion of 2019. And so the last column on all of these talks about what was abandoned, what continued, and what was completed. So it's a very intense goal packet, but definitely we track what our accomplishments are. So I don't know if you had specific questions on
No,
goals. No, but
I didn't, but
I appreciate having this.
Sure.
And knowing that you guys carefully track and
monitor.
when you move from year to year, it's a fluid process of, okay, what did we get to last year?
Right.
What do we need to adjust? And
We always
very
reach
helpful to
high.
have this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We reach high and we're not always able to do everything in one year, but definitely it keeps us transparent to the community and to you all and to our staff what we're trying to achieve. So it's a good document.
And I really appreciate how astute you are at, if something is just not going well, you feel you're not getting the best for your dollars.
We've been in it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would just go, well, let's see, and you do give it time.
Yeah.
But then, if it's not working like you thought it would,
and you've saved the county a lot of money because you brought a lot more stuff in-house
Yeah.
versus outsourcing. And she's very good at reviewing your contracts, making sure you're meeting your benchmarks through the services, and if not,
Thank you. March agenda, this would have been a very labor intensive if I brought a bunch of things today, so I did more data. In our March agenda, and I emailed Amy this morning to see if March 19th would work. I'm gonna bring some contract amendments to your attention, suggestions, recommendations, and then give you kind of a point in time on children's services and where we're at with placements. So I'd like to spend a little bit more time in March and do more data this time, so just so you know.
That's great.
you know, Kelly, I did have a question. On the next to last page, there was 2 entries that said, this has not happened yet as administration have not been able to review surveys. Is that because the surveys weren't complete, there wasn't enough surveys, enough personnel to do it, or what?
Customer service surveys, is that where you're at?
Yes.
So 2 years ago, we started developing surveys for the public. So public assistance and child support and Ohio Means Jobs has a survey currently. So we measure how we're doing with customers. Children's Services never had one, and Fiscal didn't have one. So we have been working in the administrative team. We just met 3 weeks ago and shared the surveys we had. We pulled some surveys from other counties, and so we're rolling out every division to have a survey, including fiscal and children's services. So that's why you see that piece, those two divisions didn't get completed. But
Okay.
it's a rollover. If you reflect on 2020, it's there again. So we're trying to get the whole agency to be, to have surveys for the citizens of
Okay.
Portage County.
Well, I just wondered if it was a time limit that you didn't have, or lack of surveys, or I just wasn't sure.
It was too much going on at the end of the year.
It just kept getting pushed to the end.
And we said we're gonna try again in 2020.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So then before you have the November, December data report. So attention that I saw, the attention that I was drawn to, data that I was drawn to was on page 2, relevant to our drivers under net transportation.
Yeah.
From November to December, there was an increase in drives from our internal operators, and that correlates to the manufacturing, the end of the manufacturing internship program, and then the new Harris project with the Portage County Jail. Yeah, much better. And so that's a great thing, but definitely there was an increase in rides in December. Now that the manufacturing internship program, this cohort ended, they do have a little bit of a lull this first quarter, and then they'll pick back up when we have the next manufacturing project start. So, but it definitely spiked in December.
Kelly, I had a question on the front. The food assistance
Okay.
went down by like 604 individuals from November to December.
First page?
Yeah. See under food assistance, under individuals. It's
Where do you
page
see
No,
one.
here.
Here and there.
604 though? Where do you see 604?
No, with the.
No, that's the difference between
Oh.
individuals.
My hope is that people received employment, and so they no longer qualify for food
Yeah.
assistance. So definitely the job market is really great, so that
Yeah.
would be something like that we wouldn't kind of follow.
Okay.
But that would be, we have been very successful in getting people connected to employment, which then would disqualify some for food assistance, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, it just seemed like a lot
Reduction,
in
yeah.
December. Yeah,
I'm
so-
sorry, I was looking for the number and I didn't know where you were at.
Oh, I was just calculating the difference. Okay.
I did not see anything on page 3 relevant to Ohio Means Jobs, but page 4, the impact program that I highlight to you that we brought in-house from Passages. We did have 9 referrals sent over to the Ohio Means Jobs Center, which was a good thing. But at the end of December, we had 3 people participating. They've been cold calling obligors of child support, and then they also, for individuals that are in jeopardy of losing their driver's license because of non-payment, they've sent out this program information in their letters. So they are seeing a lot more interest now that we've tied this program to, try to save your license and work with us to help you find employment. So I'm optimistic that our future numbers are gonna increase, but definitely we made the right call by bringing this in-house and not throwing grant dollars at it.
Kelly, on the page before that, on your total amount calculated with benefit recovery, is that also because of people maybe getting jobs or what?
No, it's just in that particular month with the overpayment referrals that they received, we have 2 fraud investigators. That's what they calculated in claims in that month.
Okay.
And then what they received or collected, it was 14,000. So it was kind of a small month, and it could be because of holiday and vacation.
Okay.
But definitely that's kind of not the normal. It's usually in the 20+ thousand range.
And the veteran job placements did not report, they don't report that to you? or-
Commissioner Clyde asked about that last meeting, and Brian went and connected with Rich from Veteran
Yeah.
Services. They had not been collecting on their end data of who they were referring to OMJ.
Oh,
So they
okay.
committed to start doing that,
Okay.
and they'll share that with us monthly. And then from that, we can then cross-reference those names to who we were able to connect them to employment. So there definitely was a communication
Okay.
lag between our departments, but we've since built a new bridge. Page 5 is just the CCMEP total youth in the program, just a little bit less than what we have been seeing, 221 young people in the program, but still a strong program, CCMP. Children's Services, don't let the number fool you in December. It said 209, but point in time today, there's about 230 kids in care. So we have, just yesterday, we had to pick up 7 children and put them in custody. So it's been pretty, they're in crisis mode over in Children's Services right now. And then always we try to connect kids with families or kinship placement if there's family that's viable to take the kids. But definitely that's again next month when we talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about the state of child welfare in Ohio. As a trustee, we meet once a month. There's 11 of us directors that are in the PCSAO, and we're really in a state of crisis with placements options, not just Portage County. I mean, Lucas County needs 300 homes, and we had a young lady that has mental health and medical needs that the family connection was severed recently, and we had her in the hospital for treatment, but when she was ready to be released, it took us multiple days to find a placement for her. So the hospital kept her, and that was great. I ended up having to engage the Department of Medicaid, State Department of Medicaid, and the managed care plan, and high players at the state, because this is real. This is not Portage County. There's not enough placement options for kids, and the number of kids that are in care are just astronomical. So I wanted to talk to you about some things that I'd like to try in Portage County. When I go over the 2020 activities, you'll see a new initiative. We're gonna have a foster parent dinner this year in May to acknowledge our foster parents, but really we wanna try to go heavy on the recruitment effort to have more foster parents have interest in Portage County. It doesn't mean we'll be able to place all the kids, but definitely, if you go on like the state interweb and you look at other county stories, you can see a lot of stories regarding not enough beds and not enough placements, and half the kids that we have in residential care, and the group home is a great step in the right direction, but currently half the kids that we have in residential care are there because there's no placements for them, and so that's not the right place for kids. So again, I don't want to belabor the conversation now as much as I did in March after the levy. Wanted to come and really talk to you about some things that I'm thinking about, and I'm happy to bring some supportive documentation from the state and either also from other counties, so you kind of have a big picture of what's happening right now. It's a tragedy, I think, right now. What's happening in children's services on all levels. And then of course there's a financial implication. First we want to make sure kids are safe, but secondarily, that's what's
Now,
happening.
is this mostly because of drug use still?
In Portage County, it's still substance abuse tied with domestic violence that we're seeing a lot of these removals connected to. And parents are kind of abandoning their rights. They're kind of just throwing their hands up and saying, we still get referrals from the court, the juvenile court, where the judge deems it necessary for us to be involved and to place kids in our care. And I'm not judging him for that. He has to speak on the best interest of kids from his vantage point. But out of the $3 million in placement costs that we had last year, a little over $1 million were placement costs of kids that were remanded to our custody from the court system. So we have a very blended population of kids in custody, not just kids that are abused and neglected, but we have dependent kids. And but this is common. This is not Portage. It's just a sad state of affairs in Ohio specifically. So again, I wanted to spend at least 30 to 45 minutes at my next meeting with you all, kind of giving you a broader landscape. I'll bring Sue up so we can give you a point in time on the fiscal part. We're new year and new funds, and so that's why we want to stay on these initiatives now, so we're not at 2020, at the end of 2020, not able to meet our financial commitments too. So that's why we're kind of trying to hit this heavy at the beginning
Are
of the
you
year.
realizing any of the funds that were supposed to be put towards children's services from the governor's office and the biennium budget? Have you seen any of those funds?
We have. So the one-time 20 million was not a reoccurring allocation for us, but that helped counties at the end of 2019. We received foster care recruitment allocation recently, and those are for counties specifically to recruit foster parents. So we can't use them for salaries or benefits or placement costs. The multi-system youth dollars, we're seeing those come through. We have to spend it and then seek reimbursement for that, so that will give us a break relevant to the costs that we are sharing in those youth. But those are youth that come to us, that we pay for prior to coming into custody through our ICAT process. But it's been predominantly Job and Family Services and the Mental Health Board that pay those residential expenses. Portage DD comes in if the child has a diagnosis, a developmental disability diagnosis. But so that's going to give us some relief, not significant.
Not till May, it's a reimbursement and it's only a quarterly reimbursement, so we actually have to put the money out, and then in May, we'll see our first dollars from that.
So there'll be relief connected to that, but we really do need to advocate, and I know the child welfare systems are for the next budget to have an increase in our regular routine allocation, and so that's why I talked at the last meeting about inviting both of our representatives to come in and do ride-alongs, and so I'm still gonna do that. I'm also gonna do that in tandem with the foster care dinner, appreciation dinner. I'd like to invite them there too, to and then you all, of course, and then Judge Berger, of course, to speak to the community on the importance of foster care and the need. And we continue to increase a little bit there, but I mean, again, when you have this many kids coming into care, and we shouldn't have to look out of the state of Ohio for placements. So, and again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the group home and where we're at and some of the savings we think we're seeing right now, but we'll have a really good picture in March. So I am going to propose a couple new things. I just wasn't prepared, but I just wasn't prepared to do it all today because we want to get some solid data.
So what happens like with Lucas County when they don't have enough places? They end up sending them all over the state?
Yeah, because ideally, there's a lot of children that are in residential placements that don't need to be there. Those are for kids that you need to have that security and safety and that therapeutic intervention daily. But a lot of teenagers are in residentials because there's no placements for them. So anyways, it's pretty sad. I didn't mean to depress you, but it's real, and I'm preparing you for some realities that are going to come before you in March too.
I've seen press coverage this week about $1 million, which seems like such a low sum for a statewide.
Kind of what?
Children's Services, it's an emergency, $1 million the state just made available, which sounds so low. I don't even understand what that
for all
would do.
88 counties?
Yes.
Yeah.
That will, whatever that is, will do nothing.
That was in our county.
I mean, I don't mean to
Commissioners
sound, any
Association.
amount is good, but that's not gonna do anything.
I mean, spread out over 88 counties, that
But
just doesn't
Yeah.
sound.
It's like an emergency. It was in our county commissioners newsletter.
It's in the Plain Dealer
I'll
and some of
Google
the.
Yeah.
I'm still very optimistic with the new administration and the
Yeah.
new governor that we'll be able to, at least because he's put a lot behind foster care reform, that you can't have those conversations without talking about funding. That you can reform a system, but you also have to make sure the system is staffed appropriately, and you have to make sure you have the appropriate placement. So I know he's opened the door to it. I just think that it gives us a good opportunity to really dialogue with them about what our true needs are. So anyways, more to come, but I just didn't want you to get hopeful with that number because it's not real right now.
Well, I put a smiley face by it, but it was way too
Pretty
optimistic.
extra.
It's good, you can do it now.
So how many kids do we have in the group home now?
5. We had 6 and we had a young man that went home with families, so 5 right now. And we have the new clinical manager. You authorized that, I think, last week. That's starting next Monday. So he's going to be traveling to the residential centers where these kids are and doing clinical assessments to kind of just ensure as we step kids down that therapeutically we're ready to take on some of the challenges. So we have about 3 or 4 other youth earmarked to come, but we want to make sure we have all the background and history before we just step them down. So we're really, growing in that area. And again, we'll talk not just numbers, and there's a kind of a philosophy shift I'd like to do with that, but then Sue will talk about the financial advantages to having the group home, and there are some. We're seeing those now. We'll see more next month because our numbers change and stuff. Okay, that was really it unless you had other questions that I saw, like grave changes from last time that I presented to now.
Nope. You guys always do a good job on community outreach.
Yeah, and then this year, new to you, you had this other packet of our 2020 events. So you always see the flyers and everything, but we thought, because we do so much now, let's put it down on paper and show what we really do. And so they're color-coded based on the divisions. Blue is Children's Services. When you see red, it's Ohio Means Jobs. Green is Child Support Events. Orange is Public Assistance, and then purple is Fiscal. So it gives you a little bit of an overview of what the event's about. 2 new things. Most of these are all reoccurring events from years past. It's just interesting to see them all in writing. Again, in May, we're gonna have the first year of the foster parent recruitment dinner. I'm gonna give you a formal invitation at our meeting next month. I hope you
Okay.
all can attend. It's gonna be at Neomed. The new foster care recruitment dollars that I just spoke of will help to fund this event, so we're not having to take it out of our operating budget.
Okay.
That was the state's purpose, is to get out to your communities and talk about needs. So that will be covered through those new dollars, but that'll be in May, and I will give you a formal invitation. And then the only other thing that was new, I think that was the only new thing that was here, I think, unless you had questions about any events. So these are programmatic events for clients as well as outreach events in the community, our back to school program, our long-term care meetings are with nursing homes for people on Medicaid. Transportation Forum promotes, transportation in the community.
Kelly Jo, I saw a flyer today for the graduation for the kids that are graduation that have not been emancipated and that are probably in foster care. It's gonna be from 2 to 4, it's in the middle of the day versus, cause last year I think you had it in the evening, didn't you?
And it was not as attended as it was
Yeah.
the years past, because this is like our 4th or 5th annual, and so they thought if they moved it up instead of later, that we would,
could get more
yeah.
people.
So, because I think it was, when you attended, it was more like 5 or
Yeah,
5, so they shifted it back to daytime.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that was
Cause I'm thinking, is that the same one? I'm thinking, no, I went to was in the evening, so,
yeah.
okay, but it is the same, you're
Yeah.
just, okay.
And it was poorly attended last year. The year before, it was great attendance. So yes, you'll also get an invitation if you want to attend that. That's the graduation party we hold for children in foster care that are emancipating from our custody. And it's a really exciting time for them. And so we're able to celebrate their accomplishments. So that's it.
Okay.
The last thing before, or 2 more things, is, I think on your agenda I had a board recommendation before Sue talks about the resolution. I served 2 terms on the Ohio Children's Trust Fund. You all appointed me, and I can't believe 2 terms are done, and that's the only terms that you can serve, and it's time to pass the wand. So I assess, so the Ohio Children's Trust Fund, the Prevention Council, we've been working on prevention initiatives, so to be able to provide supports and education to families so that, we can prevent some things from happening and them coming into the child welfare system. And so the board has been comprised of 2 county reps. And so you all recently appointed Melissa Marzak from Family and Community Services, who's the Help Me Grow coordinator. She replaced Tammy Devine. I talked to Darlene, and I talked to a couple people in Children's Services, and we all agree that I would like to recommend to you that Lori Tabinski, she's a supervisor in Children's Services. She's an intake supervisor, so she is the one, her team assesses and goes out to initial investigations of child abuse and neglect. So I think she's very insightful. She's our longest tenured supervisor here in that division. Very insightful of what needs families have when they're coming into our agency. So I think she would be good to make recommendations on things that we can offer families to prevent them from coming to our agency. So she did complete, she knows there wasn't a guarantee that I would have to present it to you, but she did complete your board application. And I would just ask that the commissioners consider her to replace me.
Okay.
If that's okay, then I'll give this to Julie. She's
Yes.
kind of waiting on this. My term ends March 7th,
Okay.
and so then you'll get a resolution to appoint her.
Okay.
But you're welcome to read through it, but excellent supervisor. And,
We appreciate your recommendation.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
okay,
That sounds
Okay.
great.
and I'll defer to you. And then we have executive session after Sue for an employee salary issue. I'll let you do your resolution.
Okay, we just have one. It's $140,000. It's the third payment of the shared funds and cost pool funds repayment from the child welfare levy to our public assistance fund in the amount of $140,000 for the first quarter of 2020.
Okay.
I move that the Board of Commissioners agree to transfer $140,000 from Fund 1415, Child Welfare Special Levy Fund, to Fund 1410, Public Assistance Fund.
I will second. Roll call, Amy?
Vicki? Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes. I'll move to go into executive session for the purpose of G1, compensation of a public employee.
I will second. Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicki? Yes. Does Terry Nielsen need to be in